everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I'm here with Misty and Natalie.
Hi.
And it is Triple Play Week, and the block we've chosen this time is the Drunkards Path.
Yes.
Which we have all fallen in love with, I might
That's right.
say.
Love
you know, and it's one of those things, practice makes progress. The more you do it, the more you like it. So this is my quilt right here.
It is so cute.
It's the Jukebox quilt because I grew up at the time of 45s. Tell me if you know what 45. Those are those small records with the larger hole in the middle. And this is my 45, my Jukebox quilt. So let me show you how to make it. So to make this quilt, you're going to need one packet of 10-inch squares, and I have used Fiesta by me and my sister for Moda. You're going to need some accent fabrics for your records. The gray, you're going to need 1/4 of a yard, and your black, you're going to need 1 3/8 of a yard. This background fabric is part of the line, and it's a white on white. I don't know if you can see it, but it's darling print from the line. And for that, you're going to need 2 yards, and this is the backing.
That is so
I
fun.
love a gingham.
Yeah.
Love a gingham. The backing is 4 yards with a horizontal seam or 2 yards of a 108. So it's also going to be really helpful if you have the Drunkards Path template, some sort of a circle for the middle of your 45s. You're going to need a little bit of the So Light heat and bond. And I also used the transparent thread for any stitching I had to do, so I didn't have to change my thread. And
I just love all the colors.
So happy.
is that not so
I
happy?
love it. Yeah.
It's really cute.
It's just gorgeous. And of course, I've quilted it with musical notes because it's the Jukebox quilt, right?
That's perfect.
so great.
Everybody wants to dance. Everybody wants to dance. All right, so let me show you how to do this because it's super easy. I think you're going to find it really fun. So this was one of those quilts that I wanted to make super easy, and because it's just a fun, happy quilt, and I wanted to make it easy. And so literally all you do is make this little top part right here. Let me show you one of these, and you sew it to a 10-inch square.
I love that.
So fun.
So easy. And so this is a great pattern if you want to show off your fabrics and that sort of a thing. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take our background fabric and we're going to cut a square out of that. And our squares for the background fabric are let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 inches. And this is the white. And your square for the black, which is the record part, is going to be 5 inches. So we've got 5.5 and 5. And so when we're ready to cut our Drunkards Path, we're going to take the middle part of the template. So the Drunkards Path comes with 2 pieces like this. We're going to take this middle part and we're going to put it on the corner of our black square right here. And we are going to just cut around it. Now our Drunkards Path has an easy curve, so you know, it just cuts really easy. So set this aside, and now we're going to take this part right here and we are going to lay it on our 5.5 inch background square right here. And so right here, see where it says 5.5? We're going to lay that 5.5 along the outside edge of our square like this, and we're going to cut the inside curve just like that. And so now we're going to put these 2 together to make our record, and of course it takes 2 halves. So Misty, if you want to sew this,
Yep.
now Misty does it, you'll see in hers, she does hers a little differently. I actually just set mine down on there and I just start going and I keep pulling the 2 together. So that,
It's my first time on this machine, so.
so I do love this machine. It's probably my new favorite. And it has the fast or slow on it. It has a stitch length. It has a cut. The thread doesn't break when you cut it. It's just got a lot of really nice features. I love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, Natalie, got that iron hot?
I'm ready.
One of our favorite things to do is to iron a Drunkards Path because the way it's sewn,
So satisfying.
it's satisfying. The curve just lays down and it just looks so nice. Okay, because these Drunkards Paths are the same on either side, it doesn't matter which way you cut them or sew them because they're going to go together like this, and that's going to make our record.
Perfect.
And so if you want to sew this together, that would be great. So you do want the top of your circle to match. You want it to look like a full round circle, so pay attention to that. I'm going to get this little center circle, the little part of the 45, ready to go. And I'm just going to cut a little piece of heat and bond. And I'm going to trim it up so it doesn't get on my iron. I think you need, it says you need about 2 yards, but that seems like a lot because you just need these little tiny circles, but
I think
it could be true.
when
It adds up.
when we add those kinds of things to the pattern, it could just be in the amount that it's sold.
Oh, maybe you might
So
be
you
right.
can get like a little package that's 17 inches by 2 yards. And
Okay.
that's the size of the roll that you can buy.
Yeah. All right, so Natalie is gonna just iron this. I mean, if you just go ahead and, you know, just a few seconds with the iron. Okay, so once you get your little gray pieces, you can draw a circle around whatever size circle you want. This one right here is a 2 3/4 inch circle, and it's just part of a little packet I have of circles, you know. Anyway, I just traced that on there because I thought it was a good size for a 45. When you trace it, you can trace it on your paper, but don't cut the paper out until it's ironed on, because for some reason it's easier to cut with when the paper is attached. Have you girls found that?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Just stiffens it up a bit.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're just
And it's
gonna
really hard
cut
to
this.
match up the heat and bond to the paper or the fabric if they're both cut already. It just
Right.
doesn't work out well.
So I just scored the back of this so I can peel this off like this. And then we're going to look at our top piece that Misty sewed. All right, so here's our top piece. This is our record. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to square this to 5 by 10. And so I'm going to lay it on here, and I'm going to put my ruler on here. And I'm going to kind of match up the bottom. I have a little bit of extra hanging off over here, so I'll come back and trim that. But on this top part, I'm going to cut it to 5. Let me see here now. Let me make sure this is right.
It's convenient because it's the width of the ruler.
Right. And then I'm going to do it by 10. And I'm going to lay it across here and see. So I'm a little wider on the bottoms, which is okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to go trim it straight here. And then line this side up and trim it straight here.
Couldn't you just put the ruler on the center seam too?
I could, yeah, sure. Sure, that would work. We get by with a little help from our friends, right?
So many ways to get from A to B.
You know, somebody will comment in the comments, you know, why didn't you do it this way? And I'm like, why
didn't I? Exactly.
You know, and it's like, read the comments. There are smart people out there.
So true.
All right, so Natalie, if you want to press this to make sure it's nice and flat.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm folding this in half because this is actually going to make 2 records. And so I can actually just trim it off right here on my fold line. And then I'm going to fold it again so that it has a little bit of a center line on it, so that when I go to lay it on here, and if you want to leave this on the ironing board, then we can just lay it on here and we don't have to wiggle and move it. So I'm going to put that on here like this.
Okay.
So it's right in the center, and then you're going to just touch it. Don't move it back and forth too much because it could scoot the little piece. So just touch it on there.
Cute.
And then look at our little record. How cute is that?
It's so
I love
darling.
it.
I
So
love
then
that
when
they
I-
look like they're peeking up out of
Right?
like a record case.
I know. That's what I looked like. You're taking it out. Thank you.
The sleeve.
Anyway, if you'll pick a fun color out of there,
Okay.
we are just going to sew that to the bottom. And this is the time when you want to do your top stitching around here with your invisible thread. And I would do a tiny zigzag
Have to
or
go with
a
green.
little
That's so happy.
a tiny zigzag or a little applique stitch, or you can do a straight stitch too. And we actually have gray on here. Misty, do you want to do a tiny little straight stitch along the edge?
Sure.
So this machine only does a straight stitch, and so you have to have another machine if you want to do that. If you want to do something other, a fancy stitch. Oh, the fancy stitches might be fun. So she's just top stitching around this, and it just, I don't know how I have the miracle of having gray thread on my machine, but it's working.
perfect.
It's perfect. All right. That is perfect.
Looks great.
All right, now this should fit exactly on the top of a 10-inch square. And it does. So Misty's just going to sew 1/4 inch right down the side to attach those two pieces. Line it up so nice. All right, Natalie, if you'll press this.
Yep.
I'm going to trim this thread right here. And then we will go back to the quilt.
That is
It
so
looks so
fun.
great.
Isn't that quick and easy?
I love
You know,
it.
I think if you have anybody in your life who loves vinyl, I mean, vinyl is coming back. It's a big thing.
There you go.
A lot of you guys have record players
Yep,
now,
absolutely.
which I haven't had for years, you know, but it was a thing for us for sure. So this is the block, and I want to show you how we set them together. So we literally just sewed them top to bottom, but every other row, I put a 5-inch piece on the top. This one has one on the bottom. This one has one on the top, one on the bottom, one on the top, and it staggered them so that they all go together. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the reason we did it that way is because this is now longer than it is wide, and so the quilt ends up being, let me check, 66 by 75. So it's a great size quilt, really fun. I love the quilting pattern on it with the music notes. Of course, I love music
So
anyway.
cute.
It's so fun.
Goes together so easily and quickly, and I hope you enjoyed my triple play on the Drunkards Path. Who's up next?
I'll go.
All right
Sounds
then.
good.
All right, so this is my quilt.
I
It's
love
so
it.
cute.
Thank you.
I
I was
love it.
really excited with how it turned out, and I'm calling it Midsummer Skies. It's super quick and easy to make, and so what you're going to need is 1 package of 10-inch squares, and I use this really cute Juicy by Melody Miller for Ruby Star. You're also going to need 3 1/4 yards of your background fabric and 3 5/8 yard for your backing, and then of course your Drunkards Path template. So let me show you how to make it. All right, so to make this, you're going to need 2 10-inch squares for each of your blocks, and I just tried to pick a little bit of contrast between the two. And so I've pulled out 2 here, and we are going to cut them each a little different. So the first one is going to be our circle in the middle. And so you can either fold this, which I think is the fastest way, and give it a good press. So if you want to do that, Nat.
Okay.
And then we're going to use our 1/4 circle to cut this part.
Oh, so you're not even cutting it.
Yeah,
Very
so
cool.
it saves you just a little
Really
bit of
slick.
steps.
Yeah.
So then we can just line that up in that corner. And where did I put my, oh, there it is.
I just hiding it under my sewing machine.
That's all right. And then we'll get all 4 of our cuts at once, which
Genius.
just saves a little time.
Love that.
So then we can set this one aside. And for our other 10-inch square, we are going to start by cutting this into 2 1/2-inch strips all the way across. So let me just make sure it's straight.
I'm always so fascinated by how you girls do this. It's all always so different from the way my mind works, which that's what I think is one of the things people love about triple play.
It's so fun. It really is. It's hard to see on this dark mat, so
It is.
just want to make sure I've got everything lined up. And one more cut. Okay. There we go. All right, and so then now I like to keep them all together because we are going to cut these strips in half now. Well, not in half. We need 4-inch and 6-inch is what we're looking for. So it uses every bit of our
That's so
10-inch
cool.
square. So just making sure it's straight. And then we have our 2 1/2 by 4-inch rectangles and our 2 1/2 by 6. And I just stack them up so they're the
Perfect.
same.
You're ready to go.
Now
That's
we're ready
great.
to go. So then from our background strip, for our circles, we're going to cut just a 5 1/2-inch strip. This is the same size Jenny used to do hers, which is super fun.
Yeah,
And so
I
then
love
we
that.
can subcut this into 5 1/2. just like so. Make sure it's not crooked.
Although when you subcut squares, it's a little more forgiving.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you're then just going to cut it into a Drunkards Path. So there we go. There's a few ready to go. And I did like to have a few thick when I was cutting because it just made it go so much faster.
Not only that, for some reason, when you have a few stacked up, it feels a little more solid.
I agree.
Or something.
Less shifting.
Yeah, less shifting.
And so then we're just going to line that up again on the 5.5. And we will cut just like so. You can set that aside for another project. And then now we're just going to sew. I have most of these done, but if you could sew one of our cute little milk cartons in there,
So cute.
that would be awesome.
Now wait, you have a way that you do these that makes it easier for you.
For me, I typically put whatever's the smaller piece on top,
Uh-huh.
but I feel like these are both really similar in size.
Don't you put like a dab of glue?
Yes, so that is actually a great hack. Let me
good
see
little
if
tip.
I have it. So I start it like normal. So I would just flip this here and start stitching. And then if you have a center mark, let me just make a little press line there on both of these.
All of us have these little hacks that work for us. For me, I just put it together
Yeah.
and make do. But everybody's brain is different, so it's going to work differently for everyone.
So I would just start stitching like normal, and then I like to just match up those points. If it helps to put a dab of glue, you can do that there, but the most important is the dab of glue at the end. And so I just leave this on my,
Okay.
my sewing machine,
I'll try. You walk me through it.
and then we'll just
So
put
you
a little,
stitch and then glue.
yes,
Okay.
yep,
Stitch and glue, stitch and glue. No pressure, Jenny.
no pressure at all.
All right, so I'm coming to the middle.
Just try and line up those little
Okay.
finger presses if you can,
Okay.
because then you've got it exactly in half. And then
Okay.
so now as you come to this end, it kind of feels wonky, and
Yeah.
I like to just put a little dab right
down
here on this end, and I just force those two to line up and then kind of pinch them together.
Make them behave.
Yep,
All right, I'm going to put my finger on that one
exactly.
right there. And then I'm just going to stitch along here. Oh, that's kind of genius, Misty.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
And then your little ends match.
Because my little ends don't always match.
Yeah, and it just turns out so nice, and Nat can press that for us.
Oh, do you press the white part out? I always tuck it in. That's interesting
Just
too.
go whichever way the fabric wants to
Whichever
go.
way it feels like.
Yeah.
Sometimes it has an opinion.
I guess if you do every other one, then it'll nest up
That's
too.
true. I didn't think about that. And so then I have a few of these other ones ready to go. So we are just going to put these together now like a 4-patch. And so Jenny, if you want to sew that together,
Okay.
I will move on to this next step. There
So
go.
we have a this is what I did for mine, was a half a record.
Yeah.
I mean, to make the record block. And you had a super good idea when I finished.
Oh, that's right.
Tell.
After we stopped, I was like, what would be so fun is to use band t-shirts for the sleeve portion, the 10-inch portion of
Wouldn't
those
that be
records.
Cool, so they
so
look
cute?
like the
So
record.
cute. Yeah, I used to have so many band tees from all the concerts I went to in high school.
Right?
So
that would
be
make,
so
with the little
fun.
record coming out, that'd be so cute.
Oh, absolutely.
So I wanted to make sure we didn't forget to share that
Oh,
idea.
I'm so
Great
glad
idea
you
for
reminded
a
me.
t-shirt quilt.
Yeah, it would be perfect for that. Okay, let me double check the measurement on this.
All right, so I've got my two sides together.
Yeah.
And top and bottom looks pretty good. Gonna fold them right sides together, and I'm gonna
Perfect.
line up. And where I'm making sure matches is where the color starts. And then I have the half line here in the middle that I'm gonna line up and make sure it's
And just
nesting.
nest those middle seams.
And then over here, we're gonna line this up again.
Perfect.
And honestly, it really helped, Natalie, to have that one going in and the one going out.
Yeah, we've never talked about that before
right
with the
then.
Drunkards Path, but that's a
No, but
great tip.
It laid so nicely, yeah.
All right, and so now we're gonna do the star legs that kind of surround our block. And in order to do that, you're going to cut 2.5 by 7.5 inch background rectangles. And this is the size you need for all of it. And so this is really fun. We are going to take 2 of them, and we are going to snowball kind of each opposite end. Let me draw a line so that people understand what I'm saying here. Actually, let's flip it over on the white, and then you can see it better. So see, I've got my 2 short strips. So these are the 4.5 or 4, excuse me. And I'm going to put one on each end, just like so. And then we are going to sew point to point, corner to corner, and flip these out.
Going from the bottom outside in.
Yep, on each
Okay.
side. So make sure I can see my other
We might even
side.
want to put a little pin in those.
You
I know you're
absolutely-
shocked.
You
Pin.
absolutely could.
There you go. Stick a pin in there.
There we go.
Because you're lifting up two big, you know, you have two pieces. And,
That's true.
I mean, could
There we
fly
go.
across the room, you know, in this time.
Good to
so.
keep track of them too.
I really did one side at a time and just chain pieced them, but however works for you. And I just set these on top and I could see it. So then I used my diagonal seam tape and went from point to point.
Okay,
Cool.
this one is out a little bit.
There we go.
Alright.
Perfect. And I'll let you do the same on this guy.
Okay.
And then we can trim these off. I keep misplacing my rotary cutter.
Just like at home.
Yes, it's wandering off today. So then we can trim these. And then Natalie, if you can roll these out
Yep.
and press them open. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with our longer strips.
I hope that worked. I just eyeballed it because
It's-
I didn't have any diagonal seam
It's
tape
gonna
yet.
work. I believe in you. And so same thing on these longer strips where we're snowballing them in towards the middle of our background.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm peeking.
There's one.
And we go out to
There we
the
go.
end.
We'll press that one.
Have to have a little
Okay.
mantra.
Yeah, that definitely helps. And then here's this guy.
This is pretty genius, Misty.
Thank you. I was pretty excited when it worked.
That's it, when it works. We do, it does take a few tries to
Yeah,
get what we
sometimes
want.
you just have to test it out. Perfect.
There we go.
We'll trim this last one. All right. There we go. And if you will press that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Then now we can take our two different lengths. Here's our longer strip and our shorter ones. And then we're going to go with the wider part of our color in, just like so. And we'll sew these top and bottom.
Okay.
And then these will slide in on the sides. And
Very
that
cool.
is, it's just that easy.
That is awesome.
Pretty fun. So if you want to sew those,
Alrighty.
yeah, I had the idea. I was like, what if we surrounded it with the star legs? And I was like, I wonder if there's an easier way to do it. And I thought this was really fun. Just
Well, and once you
sew and
know
flip.
the measurements,
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
That is
'cause,
super easy.
you know, somebody's done the math for you, so you're like, oh.
Yep, exactly.
I love it when it all works out.
I know. Yeah, because originally I had another seam here in the middle. And I was like, I wonder if I could get rid of that step. So, all right, if you'll press that, then we can add these other two.
Yep.
That's the thing. Everything's a little time saver. You know?
Right, yeah. And when you can save a little time, it goes a long way when you're making a whole quilt.
Yes,
So,
it does.
all right.
So this one goes this small side to the middle, right? Like this?
Correct, yep.
Yep.
The wider
Okay.
part of the color goes to the center.
And you don't have to like, did you worry about matching middle to middle or anything like that?
Not at
Nope,
all.
just sewed
I
it
just
straight
sewed
across.
It straight across.
And I guess as long as your 45s are good, that will work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it's easier for you to draw those lines or press the lines, absolutely you should do that. All right, and then Natalie can press this, and then we'll
Yep.
take a look at it in the quilt.
Cute, really
think it
clever
looks so
idea.
cool.
Good
Thank
job.
thank you so much. And this fabric is just so happy and
Oh, it's
fun.
so darling.
It really is.
Yeah, they do such a great job.
They really do. All right, beautiful. There is our finished block. So
It's so
fun.
pretty.
And then I just set them together 4 across, 1, 2, 3, 4 by 5 down, because remember we used 2 of our 10-inch squares per block. So we just had 20, and I think it finished 56 by 70. Is that right, Nat?
Hold
Yep,
that block
that's
up
right.
there so they can see it actually right in that pattern.
Yeah, just like that.
56 by 70.
Yeah.
Just fits right in there. So they just set together, and you do want to kind of match those points when you're sewing your blocks together, but other than that,
So
so
cute.
easy.
I
That's
love
so
it.
great. And I want to see your backing again.
Oh, that's right.
I love that fabric
It's
so
those
much.
cute milk cartons.
It's so cute.
So cute, and I quilted it with time warp. I just absolutely love how this one came together. It's
That's
just
darling.
happy. I want to take it
Perfect.
home. So-
Absolutely perfect.
So cute.
All right, Nat, I think you're up next.
All right. All right, so here's my quilt. I kept it very simple this time, but I think it turned out really cute.
It's darling, and it's a great use of those fabrics that you don't want to cut.
Absolutely, it's beautiful.
Really
I think it's
cute.
fun. And there are a ton of different ways I could have laid it out, so keep that in mind. You can be creative with your
Oh
layout.
my gosh, yes.
There's a lot of cute things.
Absolutely.
All right, so to make my quilt, you're going to need 1 package of 10-inch squares, and I've used Laguna Sunrise by Sherri and Chelsi. You'll
They're
need
so great, aren't they?
really
great.
beautiful fabric. You'll need 1.5 yards of background fabric, and that includes your 2.5-inch inner border. And then for your outer border, you'll need 1.25 yards. And then the backing, I used this really cute print from the line,
Oh,
and I
that's
just
fun.
love it. And
It's
you'll
beautiful.
need 4 7/8 yard
Yep.
if it's 45 with a
Go
vertical
with
seam,
5. Be safe, people. Go with 5.
or 4.5 or
4
5.
and
Yeah, no, 5.
7/8.
5 yards
Yeah.
is a little easier than
Yeah.
4 7/8. But if you have a 108, you'll need 2 1/4 yards.
There you go.
Perfect.
And then the other thing that's helpful is your Drunkards Path templates.
Awesome.
Nice.
So let's get started. It's fun. You're going to love it. All right, so this is the block we're going to make.
Super cute.
It's very cute. You're going to do 2 Drunkards Paths on either side.
Actually, I think this would be a great place to start. You know, if you're beginning with the Drunkards Path and you just want to try it out, this would be a great one to start
Yeah,
with.
it's pretty simple. So we'll take our 10-inch square, and we're going to keep these at 10 inches because every other square, we just kept the layer cake
Whole.
completely whole.
Yeah.
Which makes the
So
quilt
you
go
don't
together
have to,
so fast.
yes, you
Yeah.
don't have to do too much. So you're lining it up right on the edge, just like that. And we're going to do these one at a time. So we'll do this one first. And then we flip this around so that we can keep that in square, just like that. And trim your other side. Now for the inside, you're going to use background fabric because I thought that helped them stand out a little more. And you can set these aside for another project.
This would be a great clamshell.
Yeah. So you're going to cut a 5-inch strip from your background and cut that. You can cut it down, or you can just cut your little Drunkard Paths with your V template right off of the
Oh, so
right
the
off the
step.
strip. Yeah, you don't have to cut them into 5-inch squares if you don't want to. Although this one is a little bit wonky on that side, so I'm going to line them up down here.
That's actually really smart.
I don't know if it's easier or not, but it's just a step to skip, I guess. So then we just do the same thing you guys did, where you find your middles. It's pretty fast and comes together really easily. Fold that up and find those middles. And then you'll inset your little Drunkard's Path circles.
Perfect.
And that's pretty much it, guys. It's so easy.
I love that.
So quick, you know.
Well,
Very
I'm
few
thinking
steps.
about-
And I feel like it's kind of a good canvas for adding lots of other things.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, like, you know, what happens if you snowball these parts, or you snowball these parts, or you add sashing with
Or
stars
you put
around
them
it?
so they all come together. Or
Right. You can make full circles with it.
or this is the secondary one is a block. You know,
Mm-hmm.
anything could happen. Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's a good
what if
base
quilt.
for going forward.
It's a whole nother triple
one.
play.
We'll be able to.
Or a dynamic duo for next year, if you
That's
will.
right. Yeah.
You girls
I'm
do like
sure
the
we'll
Drunkard's
do a
Path.
Drunkard's Path
Yeah, we do
in
love
the
it.
future.
there's so many options, and honestly, you know, this, just the Drunkards Path square, you know, when it's this way,
Yeah.
it reads like a half square triangle. So anything you do with a half square triangle, you could do with a Drunkards Path.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
many possibilities. All right, just easing this in
Just
there.
about there.
This is where her glue
Need
comes
that
in
little
handy.
Yep,
glue.
I should have grabbed my glue stick, but that's all right. I got it here.
Or a stiletto would work
That's
right there
true.
too.
Yep.
I've just never really had too much trouble. Mostly they don't get out of whack, but if they do, you can square them up to 10 inches.
Yep.
Look how nice.
And I like to, I mean, you can just double check it with this. But yeah, it's great, you know, no
Yep.
big deal.
So
So now,
fun.
yeah, so now we're just putting them in, and I kept them all going the same direction. So just like so.
And just alternated.
Yep, and it's 6 across by 7 down, and that's it. And I called it Flutter because I thought these two little things looked like little butterflies. I
They
just
really
thought they were so
do.
cute. I quilted it in posies, and it is 70 by 79. So that's it. I did a 2.5-inch inner border and a 5-inch outer border.
Adorable.
beautiful.
It's just
That's
Absolutely
it's
gorgeous.
just that simple. It's one of those little Drunkards Path for beginners.
Yeah, that's
Something
awesome.
fun to try
I
out.
love that.
come together so fast.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think it's great.
So we hope you enjoyed this triple play on the Drunkards Path template from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.